Welcome to the Prescott Lab podcast, not just theory, practical science for everyone. I'm Dr. Jonathan Prescott, a physician and integrative medicine researcher at the Ravenshade Institute for Human Health, and today I want to talk directly to the men out there, especially the ones who have been quietly wondering, is this just what getting older feels like? You wake up slower, you feel less fire, less edge, and somewhere deep down, maybe you've even started to believe that this is just how it ends quietly, gradually, with fewer answers and fewer choices. But let me stop you right there, because I'm not here to comfort you with false hope. I'm here to wake you up. There's something you've walked past at the grocery store 1,000 times, something red, ordinary looking, almost forgettable. But inside it, there's a natural compound that's helping men over 60 restore their blood flow, boost their confidence, and revive their manhood without pills, without shame, and without gimmicks. No, this isn't hype. And no, it's not for everyone. It's for men who still believe they're not done yet. Now, before we dive deeper into how one specific type of red wine is changing the game for men over 60, can I ask you for something simple? If this topic hits home, hit that like button, not for the algorithm, not for vanity, but because every like tells us that men's health still matters, and it gives my team the motivation to keep bringing you real science, real stories, and real solutions. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. We've got more coming, and this is just the beginning, so let's get into it. Because the real reason your erections aren't what they used to be has nothing to do with just getting older, and everything to do with something no one ever explained to you. Let's talk about it. Why erections fade and why it's not your fault. When men over 60 walk into my office, most of them already carry a quiet resignation in their voice. They sit down, clear their throat, and say some version of the same sentence. Doc, I guess it's just age, right? They've heard it from their buddies, from late-night infomercials, maybe even from a well-meaning doctor. You're not 40 anymore. Testosterone drops. It's just what happens. But here's the truth. That narrative is incomplete, and it's left too many good men feeling broken when they are not. Yes, aging plays a role, but the real reason your erections are weaker, shorter, or sometimes absent altogether isn't because you've reached a certain birthday. It's because of something far smaller, something you can't feel, can't see, but you depend on it every time your body needs to rise to the occasion. Nitric oxide, it's not a supplement, it's not a hormone, it's a gas, a messenger. And it's absolutely vital for erections. When you were younger, your body produced it easily. Nitric oxide tells your blood vessels to relax and expand. That's what allows blood to rush into the penis and stay there. That's what makes things feel firm, full, and alive. But after 60, that natural production, it slows down, sometimes by 50% or more. So even if your desire is still there, even if your heart is strong, the signal just doesn't get through. It's like having a car with a full tank of gas, a working engine, and the keys in the ignition, but the starter is dead. No spark, no response. That's what's happening inside your body, and no amount of motivation, willpower, or even testosterone can fix a broken signal pathway. Now here's the part most men never hear. Your body hasn't forgotten how to function, it just needs the right message again. The right spark. And nature, surprisingly, already has an answer. Because in the skin of a certain red grape lies a compound that gently coaxes your blood vessels to relax, to open, to remember. And it's been hiding in plain sight. Let me show you where. The grape that changed everything. A few years back, I had a patient, 72 years old, widowed, former Navy, the kind of man who never complained about anything. But when he sat down in my office, he didn't talk about symptoms. He talked about silence. I feel like my body forgot how to be a man, he said, not broken, not diseased, just forgotten. That hit me hard because I knew what he didn't. His body wasn't gone. It was just waiting for the right kind of reminder, so I asked him something odd. Do you drink red wine? He chuckled. I used to, doc, Cabernet mostly, with steak. Why? I leaned in. Because there's a compound in the skin of red grapes that may be exactly what you need to turn things back on. That compound, resveratrol, it's a natural antioxidant. But more than that, it's a quiet little signal booster. See, resveratrol doesn't force erections. It reminds your blood vessels how to behave. It helps restore nitric oxide pathways. It calms inflammation. It tells aging arteries, relax, open up, flow. And when blood flows, everything changes. Within weeks of adding just one small habit to his week, that same man came back, shoulders straighter, voice stronger. I don't know what you did, he said, but I feel like something woke up. The power wasn't in the wine itself. It was in the way resveratrol rekindled what time had quietly dimmed. But here's the part most men don't realize. Not all red wines have enough resveratrol to make a difference. Only one type consistently delivers the potency your blood vessels need, and it's not the wine most of us were raised on. Let me take you there. 3. Why Pinot Noir works better than your old Cabernet. I'll admit it, for years I thought all red wines were created equal. Cabernet, Merlot, Syrah, I figured the difference was just taste and price. But once I started digging into the science behind resveratrol, the truth became impossible to ignore. Pinot Noir wasn't just a smoother sip, it was a biological advantage. Especially Pinot Noir grown in cooler climates, places like Oregon, Burgundy in France, parts of New Zealand. Why does climate matter? Because in colder regions, the grape skins thicken. It's how the plant protects itself from harsh weather. And remember, resveratrol lives in the skin. Thicker skins, more resveratrol. More resveratrol, more support for your blood vessels, circulation, and yes, firmer, longer-lasting erections. One of my patients, 68 years old, told me he drank wine with dinner almost every night. Cabernet mostly. All red wine is heart-healthy, right? He asked. But once we swapped his bottle for a high-quality Pinot Noir, just one small glass a night, the changes started coming. He wasn't just stronger in the bedroom, he was sleeping better, thinking clearer, laughing more. It's like my body's tuning back in, he said, and I believed him because I've seen it happen over and over again. But here's the key, even with the right wine, the right grape, and the right region, none of it matters if you use it the wrong way. There's a moment, a method, a ritual to drinking this properly. And most men, even the ones who mean well, get this next part completely backwards. 4. How to use this like medicine, not entertainment. The first question I always get is the most predictable. So, doc, how much wine are we talking about here? And I get it. You hear wine might help your performance and your brain immediately thinks, great, bring on the bottle. But slow down, my friend, because the secret isn't in drinking more. It's in drinking better, you see. Too much alcohol, even from the best Pinot Noir, reverses all the benefits we just talked about. It narrows your blood vessels, it lowers testosterone, it makes your liver work overtime, and that nice buzz, it comes at the cost of your circulation. So here's the prescription I give my patients: 5 ounces. That's one small glass, not a giant pour, not a refill, just enough to give your body what it needs without tipping the balance. And the best time to drink it. With dinner, not alone at midnight, not on an empty stomach, with a real, wholesome meal. A piece of grilled salmon, some sautéed spinach, a few walnuts or olive oil on roasted veggies. Why? Because pairing wine with healthy fats slows down alcohol absorption. It lets your body process the resveratrol instead of fighting the alcohol. It shifts the effect from pleasure to performance. One of my patients, 70 years old, said it best: it's not about drinking to forget anymore. It's about drinking to remember how my body's supposed to work. And there's one more thing. After dinner, get up, walk 15 minutes just around the block. That simple movement activates circulation, digestion, and nitric oxide. It seals the deal. But even when men follow all this advice, there's still one trap, a hidden one that quietly sabotages their results. They don't even realize it's happening. And it usually shows up right there on the dinner plate. 5. When a man heals physically, mentally, completely, there's something no blood test can measure. And that's the moment when a man starts to feel like himself again. It doesn't happen with a pill. It doesn't come with a diagnosis or a prescription. It begins the moment he wakes up with a morning erection he hasn't seen in years and just lies there smiling to himself, quiet, grateful, because it's not just about sex, it's about dignity, it's about presence. It's about remembering that you are still here, still capable, still wanted. I once had a patient, 67 years old, former electrician, who whispered to me, "Doc, I honestly thought that part of me was gone forever." Then his voice cracked, "But it's back and so am I." That's the kind of healing we're talking about, not just in your performance, but in your identity, and science backs it up. Because resveratrol doesn't just help blood flow to one area. It supports the entire vascular system, which means more oxygen to your brain, more strength to your heart, and better function across your entire body. In fact, studies from Harvard, the Mayo Clinic, and other leading institutions show that consistent resveratrol intake is linked to sharper memory, improved focus, reduced risk of stroke and heart disease, better sleep, and recovery. One patient told me, "Doc, I started drinking Pinot for my erections, but I stayed for how it made my mind feel. Clearer, calmer, more alive." When the body is working, the mind follows, and when both align, something changes in the way a man walks, speaks, and sees himself in the mirror. That's the real power here. It's not about chasing youth. It's about reclaiming your full presence, your clarity, your rhythm, your quiet strength. And if you're wondering how to start bringing that feeling back tonight, you don't need to guess. I'll walk you through the first step. Simple, practical, immediate. 6. Tonight's plan, just 5 Oz of change. If you've followed this far, you're not here out of curiosity. You're here because something inside you said, I want this back. And that's powerful. So let's stop talking theory and start building a new rhythm tonight. Not next week, not someday, tonight. Here's your plan. Step 1, get the right wine. Look for a bottle of high-quality Pinot Noir. Choose one from a cooler climate, Oregon, Burgundy, New Zealand. It doesn't need to be expensive, but it needs to be clean, well-sourced, and made with care. Step 2, pour just 5 ounces. That's not a restaurant glass. It's a small, steady serving enough to support nitric oxide without triggering alcohol's downsides. Step 3, pair it with the right meal. Think grilled salmon, olive oil-dressed greens, steamed vegetables, maybe a few walnuts. Avoid heavy red meat, mashed potatoes, creamy sauces, or sugar-loaded desserts. This isn't about deprivation, it's about precision. Step 4, enjoy it slowly, sip, taste, be present. This is about investing in your body, not escaping it. Step 5, take a walk, just 15 minutes. Let your body circulate, let the nitric oxide build. It's a quiet ritual, but night after night it starts to change you. One man I worked with, 74, retired teacher, told me, this became my favorite part of the day. Not because of what it did to my body, but because of what it reminded me. That I'm still here, still alive, still in control. So tonight, don't wait for permission. Give it to yourself, because all it takes is one glass, one meal, one walk, and a decision that you're worth showing up for again. But there's one thing I haven't said yet, and it may be more important than everything else so far. Because the biggest barrier most men face isn't physical at all. 7. You're not too old, you've just forgotten how to live. One of the hardest things I witness as a doctor isn't disease, it's resignation. It's when a man sits across from me, shrugs his shoulders and says, I guess this is just how it is now. As if he's already packed away the best parts of himself and put them on a shelf marked used to be. And I always lean in, lower my voice and say, no, that's a lie someone sold you. And you've repeated it so many times. You started to believe it. Because here's the truth, you're not broken, you're not too far gone, you're not done. You've just been living without the right tools, without the right signals, without the rhythm that once made you feel like yourself. The male body doesn't suddenly forget how to thrive, it just needs the right cues, the right inputs, the right pace. And in the places where men have lived long, passionate, powerful lives, that rhythm is not a secret, it's a tradition. Take a walk through a small village in Sardinia or the hills of southern France. You'll see men in their 70s and 80s sitting around a table. A glass of wine, a modest meal, a walk through olive trees, laughter, arguments, life. They're not chasing youth. They're living fully within their age, honoring their bodies, respecting their time, and engaging every sense they still have. And the science backs it up. These men aren't healthier by luck. They've created an environment that allows health to breathe. No fast fixes. Just small, consistent practices repeated with dignity. That's what I want for you, not a race backward, but a walk forward one step at a time with your strength, your clarity, and your masculinity intact. Because when you remember how to live, your body starts remembering how to follow. And in that space, something remarkable begins to stir again. 8. One glass, one choice, and a life fully lived. In the end, it's never about the wine. It's about what that wine represents when you pour it with intention. A small act of care, a moment of presence, a quiet rebellion against the idea that you're supposed to fade away. Because every time you sit down with that one glass of Pinot Noir paired with a thoughtful meal followed by a short walk, you're not just being healthy, you're declaring, I'm still here. You're choosing to treat your body like it matters. You're reminding your blood vessels how to expand, your heart how to beat stronger, your mind how to stay clear, and your soul how to be proud of the man you still are. One of my patients once told me I used to feel like my life was just maintenance. Pills, checkups, slowing down. But now I feel like I'm participating again in my own story. That's the real gift. Because this isn't about chasing lost youth. It's about choosing to show up for the man you are now, with clarity, with courage, with grace. So the next time you stand at the store, hand hovering over a bottle, remember, it's not just wine, it's a ritual, a return, a reminder. And with every glass, you're not just drinking, you're deciding to live fully. And now, if you've made it this far, you already know what I'm going to ask. 9. Call to action. If this message found its way into your ears and something stirred inside, then don't let it pass like background noise. Because every like, every comment, every share isn't just support for me. It's a signal that men's health matters, that men over 60 deserve more than silence, shame, or pills with side effects. They deserve truth and a path forward. So if you found value here today, hit that like button, not because I need the validation, but because it tells my team, keep going. Men are listening, and if you haven't subscribed yet, consider this your invitation, not to join a trend, but to join a movement of men reclaiming their energy, their clarity, their strength, one choice at a time. Leave a comment if something resonated. You don't need to write a novel, just let me know that's enough. I read every single one, and if you have a question, a concern, a doubt, I'm here. This podcast isn't about broadcasting, it's about conversation. You've heard my voice. Now I want to hear yours. Until next time, take care of your body, respect your rhythm, and don't ever let anyone convince you that your best years are behind you. They are not. They are just getting started.